Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for April 25th through 29th, 2022. Wow, well, we're feeling really spacey, a really sweet spiritual energy, but also a little bit confusing, difficult to navigate as we are feeling Venus come up into her conjunction with Neptune. We're just starting to feel this. The exact conjunction of these planets is on Thursday. So with Mars also in Pisces, it's a huge bloom of Pisces energy. And Venus is effectively linking back together this Neptune-Jupiter energy. So Neptune and Jupiter were in conjunction, and now they are still a couple degrees. They're coming out of conjunction, but Venus now joining both of them is going to extend and bring this energy of the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction back home into our heart. And it's activating a deep and profound energy of spiritual desire to live and express a life more true and more real to who we really are. So this is really powerful. And so Venus coming up to Neptune, and then we'll be coming up to Jupiter at the end of the month. That will be exact on the 30th. Now, this is the same day as the first eclipse in our eclipse season, a partial solar eclipse happening in Taurus at 10 degrees Taurus, 28 minutes. So 10 degrees Taurus, we're looking at, it's not too far away from, actually, I think it might be, hold on. Yeah, so it's not too far off of Uranus at 14 degrees Taurus. And so this partial solar eclipse happens just as the sun is catching up to Uranus in Taurus and the moon. So Uranus and Taurus is about an awakening in our value system, in our wealth and our worth, a higher vibrational energy. Basically, for supernova souls, it's speaking to awakening to our greater potential as humans and what we're here as advanced souls to demonstrate to humanity what's possible. So everything is about this. And Venus is what we care about, what we love, what makes us feel good. And so in Taurus, it's all about our values. And our with Venus and Pisces, it's about our spiritual values and our spiritual worth. Now, it's really interesting because we've lived in this time, particularly the age of Pisces, where expressing spiritual truth and expressing spirituality feelings could get you attacked and persecuted. Fake spirituality and going along with programming, that's just fine. And this Venus coming up to Neptune and then Jupiter is just kind of activating deep griefs from the Piscean age for supernova souls, of like where you haven't been able to just be in the connection to nature and to spirit and to life that you want to be and who you really are. And so it's just this incredible desire to come back into spiritual truth. So it's bringing energy of spiritual revival. And it's massively highlighting the signs right now. Very important energy, very important, mysterious information coming forward right now about the next couple of years of astrology. The signs of Pisces and Taurus, so incredibly important. Because for this partial solar eclipse with the sun and the moon in Taurus, not too far away from Uranus, that will be in a sextile relationship to Mars and in Pisces. And so here we have this highlighted. Again, again and again, we keep having this sextile relationship between Pisces and Taurus. Now, Pisces is the end of the zodiac, coming to the death cycle, coming to a recapitulation, coming of about a rejoining with spirit and connection. And yet Taurus is rebirth and rebuilding and coming into form in the new part of the zodiac, in the new year of the zodiac. So we're bringing our true spiritual desires and life and connection into form, heaven on earth, the garden. So that's what these signs are about. And it's very, very powerful as we have these planets dance through these signs together. And Venus just had this sextile with Uranus as well, from Pisces, and now Mars will be having the sextile with Uranus. So what we're going to be feeling this week is the Venus-Neptune Thursday, Venus-Jupiter on Saturday with that new moon eclipse in Taurus, a new start. So new moons are always new starts, and it's a new start in our wealth and our worth and our presence, and this embodiment, right? So spiritual life up to this point. Now, this is kind of, if we look at a bigger view of spiritual evolution, Rudolf Steiner talks about this, that, spiritual evolution is about coming from the whole. And this happens every time in our every incarnation, really, we play this out, but through this whole evolution as well. We were joined together, right? We had more of a group soul, and then more of like animals do, right? And then we were joined together with source, and then you come separate from source, right? And you go as far, and we've kind of gone as far away as we can in this duality consciousness. And then you find your way back. And that's exactly the role of supernova souls. So we are joining back together with source, but we're retaining our consciousness as individuals, but as individual manifestations of source, not individual egos. And it's quite a process on all levels of society. Very powerful opportunity for ego death right now, and just a dissolving of all the false and fake parts of ourselves, which isn't very fun, but it's so freeing. But this Pisces energy is like that. It's just dissolving. It's a really difficult time because we've got the moon in Pisces this week, for the first half of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pretty much. And so that's bringing with Neptune, Venus-Neptune conjunction, and the moon in Pisces with Jupiter there as well, and Mars in Pisces. It's like, whoa. So the Pisces energy can be very difficult to make decisions, to figure out what's real, what's not real, to sort out your intuition and be able to act on it. It's more of a time to be in the soup of creation energy, to be in the mystical spirit, to try to make space in your life, to lose yourself in time, to lose yourself in nature. This is such a powerful energy with the Pisces. Is about spiritual connection, coming back to the wholeness and the oneness, but through the delusions that have kept us from that truth. And then Taurus is this embodiment energy, right? And so we've been waiting and waiting. Astrology over the last 10, 15 years has been about energetic shifts, and then our physical reality not being able to catch up to those energetic shifts. Like why aren't we seeing the physical changes in our world to represent the energetic changes? And so here we're in a big phase of this right now. And Neptune and Venus activating this deep and profound desire to have a life more true to who we really are, and not being able to do anything different, bringing this massive energy of spiritual revival. And so it's giving us a glimpse of what the life we really want, like as far as the way it feels and energetically. But it's what's also being activated right now in eclipse season, because eclipse season happens when the sun and the moon line up with the nodes of the moon. Now, the nodes of the moon are where the sun and the moon's orbit intercepts. And so the nodes of the moon slow down and it appears to stay stationary during eclipse season. And it's pretty interesting that that puts the north node at 22 degrees Taurus, master builder number. And so we're talking about building new form that can hold spirit, you know, like ascension, spirituality. We're not going anywhere. We're bringing it here. We're bringing heaven on earth. We are the container to hold this. And that's kind of going back into the mysteries of these two signs and the period of time that we're in here. Because Jupiter and Saturn, they come together every 20 years. They came together in 2020 and they are called the greater conjunction. Now, as these planets of generational change move, and come into the next formation, which is a sextile, that's when you really feel the magic and the potential of the conjunction. So the sextile between Saturn and Jupiter comes at 2023, 2024, right around the same time that Pluto begins to move over into Aquarius. So this is our timeline, and it's telling us the sextile energy between Pisces, because those planets will be in sextile between Pisces and Taurus. And so it's telling us that this whole shift into the Aquarian age is about uncovering our wealth and worth, and our spiritual wealth and worth, and taking our spiritual wealth and worth, our truth, our knowledge, our wisdom as advanced souls, and being the leaders here in embodying this in the garden, coming back to the garden. Really, science and religion and nature had to all, separate. And there's really no separation. So when you're spiritual reverence, that you recognize that nature is an expression of spirit and in its physical form. So if you are in connection, then you're in reverence to this world, in massive gratitude and reverence. This is what happens when we see beyond the veil, say in like ceremony or psychedelic experiences, and you like, we're all connected in one. And then just this massive and profound appreciation for the wealth of the natural world and the resources that we have available to us. And but what is keeping us from claiming that world and claiming that wealth? And that has to do with everything that's coming up with the south node of the moon in Scorpio. And so this Taurus Scorpio cusp is very powerful, because Taurus is embodiment, having what you need, your wealth and resources. And then Scorpio is shadow, what's hidden deep in the depths, that makes life worth living, that gives life value. The real deep and profound experiences of fully living. And yet, so many supernova souls, and in general humanity, so suppressed emotionally, unable to access these deeper levels of subconscious, where we've been programmed to like that we're little worms, we're just useless feeders here on earth, and that we're hurting the earth, and that we're in environmental catastrophe. And we know that we have technology that hasn't been available to us that makes it all in harmony and balance, and that's where we're going. That's the only way we can go. It's our only option. But it all comes back to this place of reverence for life and fully living, and taking each moment in our day, in our life, instead of focusing so much on what's out there, focusing here and creating in this world a garden, an energy, a corner of your house, a place where you can have this reverence. You can have, that represents this reverence for spirit and form. and like just living and breathing as much as you can allow yourself in that garden. But that's where we come back to. It's like, because as we move, when things haven't been working and it's all difficult and and as things start to shift and you feel support, it's really hard to receive that support. It's really hard to trust that support. And that's where we come into these deep feelings where, a lot of times things will shift for people's lives, but they will reject the blessings that are trying to come in because they're so used to being screwed over. And then you can't recognize, and this is like the whole point, gaslight us so that we can't use our intuition. We don't know who to trust. We don't know what's real. And, we just kind of give up trying to be in our full potential. And these times are over. So we're being invited back to the garden, back to our presence and participation and worthiness to be a part of this world. When you feel yourself interacting with the world energetically, in the natural world and spirit, like, you deserve to be here. Supernova souls have been programmed through past life traumas, that you don't even really deserve to exist and breathe air here on the planet, all an attack on the light and all an attack on that true spiritual expression. And yet this revival energy is bringing it up in our hearts. Like, we want to express the truth of the spiritual nature that we are. We want our lives to align with that. And we can't take anything less, is this feeling that's coming up. And yet it's not a time to really make any decisions or really move forward. It's a time to just be in the soup of the Pisces energy. And especially this week, as we move into this full moon or new moon, solar eclipse. It's very strange. Eclipse season can be so strange. Really weird feelings of being in and out of time, different relationships to time. It's all about lining up in a new direction, a new order. It's an opportunity for us to come into alignment. In Taurus and Scorpio, it's about alignment with our deeper truth in order to uncover our wealth and worth and knowing that we deserve the world we're here to create. In each moment, supernova souls find themselves often feeling like we've been programmed to think we owe something or we have to make up for something from karmic experiences in the past, but all goes back to where we were targeted in the first place. And so this Pisces energy is asking us to sit and receive, to be that Buddha under the Bodhi tree, knowing that everything you need is going to come find you if you can just be still and be present. And but this energy, the art of receiving, is so huge because the whole rearranging we're doing around the Piscean age has to do with this, where we've sacrificed and martyred ourselves in order to help humanity. And then there comes a point where you just have to save yourself. And that's where a lot of supernova souls have been feeling. But then it's almost like, is it okay for you to just receive from this world without first, like the give and take, this is our whole revolution that's happening with Uranus and Taurus of money, resources, wealth, like exchange, because what's most valuable in our world is energetic, and then we've been taught to put value over only on material things. And that's why we're going through what we're going through in the world. In a nutshell, that's what it is. We've got to have a revaluation. And there needs to be a revaluation in currency so that get out of this Babylonian money magic system. But, in order for the revaluation in currency, there needs to be a revaluation in our society where we can begin to live in that place of gratitude and respect and honor for the resources that we have and are available, and find that permission to play in these resources, to co-create, to receive, to enjoy. We can't do what we're here to do, supernova souls, unless we can receive this life and arrive and have what we need and know that we deserve to have what we need and receive what we need. And then settle in, and then we can offer, right? But so many supernova souls are so empty from giving and taking care of everybody else. And it's time to fill your cup. And the spiritual revival is you, instead of all this, what we've been doing is, because we fear of our own power and all that, and so we're subconsciously feeding the energies around us, not even able to receive our own wealth and abundance energetically. And that's what happens a lot of times as in intuitive training, students learn to contain their energy, and then that's going to bring up fear programming, because your energy you're powerful. And when you contain it, it's like, oh no, I'm not supposed to, or maybe it's dangerous, or da da da. And then, but that's the steps you go through. And there's a lot of people are having deep subconscious fears and anxieties come up, deep programming around fear of our own potential and our power and Kundalini awakening and ascension, because we're moving into these energies organically because of the changes energetically on the planet. So you might find yourself all of a sudden and be like, oh, you've done so much and you've gone to all these other realms, you've studied all these things, you've had all these experiences, right? But that nitty-gritty last bit of fear and anxiety that comes up as we are completely detaching our ego can be quite powerful, and that backlash energy. But it's all showing us where we have allowed outside forces to stake a claim on our energy. And now we're going to have the self-worth enough, clean up that garbage in the deep subconscious, and have that self-worth enough and confidence to contain our energy only for our own use. This is a very powerful message from Source that came through last activation. Like, Source intended you to have your energy, nobody else. Are you going to take responsibility and own that shit? You claim it. And just like the resources we're talking about, this inner resource, have this profound respect and honor of the grace of God that you have been given. You have earned it. I mean, it's not earning and deserving in that way, but just through what you've experienced in so many lifetimes and evolutions, you deserve this. This is yours. No one can take it from you. No one can really use it the way that is intended for you. And it feels really selfish. And of course, then we learn to contain our energy, and we have to address these fears and anxieties, programming around, fear of our own power. But this is exactly where we're at. We're dancing at the edge of the threshold. And that threshold for some is like, you could look at it as a lower matrix, higher matrix. You could look at it as ego constructs and the true self. But we're dancing at this place. And this is this energy of expansion of Jupiter at the end degrees of Pisces, just pulling us into a spiritual awakening, into a spiritual revival. It's just like, finally, I can breathe again, because I need to express and feel into and allow myself to connect, to spirituality. Now, I would call that a true spiritual expression of truth. And that is what was attacked in the Piscean age. So we're like coming out of our shell. We're being drawn out with Neptune, with Jupiter, and Neptune close, and Venus triggering them, and Mars will trigger them next month. So this story is going to go on in this whole next month, 2 months. Very powerful energy for spiritual revival and awakening to our higher self. So that's kind of the energy here. Because of the sextile, Venus just came off sextile with Uranus, and Uranus is just going into sextile with Mars, and the Sun and Uranus will be coming together in that first week of May, right after, not too far apart for that new moon eclipse this weekend. And so activation here of an awakening of our higher mind and our higher intuition. So even though we have this confusing Pisces energy, it's like, go ahead and be in that soup, because it's giving us time to connect with what we really want in our higher self, our higher mind, that's alignment with the true spiritual life that we yearn and desire for. You know, this world has been so unsupportive, and we all had these visions. You know, we all seen what's possible, and like, well, why can't I have a community, and why can't we work together to do this, and why can't we have systems set up that support healthy living and all this? You know, it's like, God, how hard is it? You know, but it has been impossible because everything's been working against it. Every spiritual light in this past age of that's like cropped up, you know, spiritual awareness, spiritual light, a spiritual group, organization, it's immediately infiltrated and attacked. You know, so it's like, that's what's shifting and changing. You know, we're having permission to move into this energy, and we haven't had that. And in this Jupiter at the end degrees of Pisces, it's just pulling us into this, and Venus there, just this incredible yearning and desire to come back into living not a life that's like a fake expression of some bullshit, you know, but like the real deal, the full meal deal, you know. So now, if we're in that soup of Pisces energy, but we're also knowing that we're activating into our higher awareness, knowing that it might not be really time to make big moves right now because we're having a massive rearranging in our relationship to our higher self with these Uranus transits. Now, we'll be feeling a shift when Venus on the 3rd of May, Venus next week will move over into Aries. So that'll be moving us out of this soup energy, but it's really great for this next week to really be there. Just use it to your advantage and say, as Pisces energy, I'm not gonna plan, I'm not gonna figure, I'm not gonna argue, I'm not gonna analyze, I'm just gonna be and let life live life and try this out. Try out this new way of co-creating and being at peace with not knowing exactly what's coming next. It's not easy, but can we let this Pisces energy just dissolve those ego constructs? And that's exactly what's trying to happen. So dissolving of those ego constructs is allowing us to come into our wealth and worth. That's this Taurus new moon coming up to Uranus and in sextile to Mars and Pisces. So again, that Pisces, Taurus sextile, and Mars and Pisces says, let's go. So we've got Venus and Pisces, Mars and Pisces. Venus is like a desire for our spiritual connection and feeling and love. And Mars says, let's do something about it. And but Pisces, you know, you start going the motor, and oftentimes you'll just go in circles in the mud, you know. And it's like the more you try to go, the might have to go in more in circles. So, but that's so interesting that Mars and Pisces is going to be in a sextile relationship with the sun, and not too far from Uranus and the moon for this solar eclipse. And saying that it is time to take action on our true wealth. And that comes from allowing ourselves to be still, to receive, to connect to that higher mind, and rearrange our life according to that. We've got to be able to let go, you know, and I know we've all been going through this, like everything being removed from our life over these years. It's preparation for this time. And then it's hard because it's like, wait, my last remaining things I've been holding on to, and now what do I do? Who am I? What am I doing? And those feelings are very, just really fit the energy. But now so we've got this Taurus new moon lunar eclipse, like bringing up our deepest insecurities, as well as our deepest desires, our spiritual desires, with Venus there and Mars and Pisces. And then why can't we create that world, you know? And then Uranus, that connection to the sun and Uranus and sextile Mars, it's like kind of like solutions. Oh, no. Oh, Jimmy the Lock. We could do it this way. We could do it that way. And so it's about being in the soup and receiving, but also being open to that higher mind, to open to that intuition, open to the feeling of that co-creation and listening and taking a step in letting the universe respond to you and feeling it out. Really good time for this navigating and mystical and magical, powerful transits in these energies. Now, this is a big shift. Okay, so we're heading into we're in eclipse season now. We've got 3 eclipses, 2 partial eclipses, solar eclipses, and then in the middle there's a lunar eclipse, a full lunar eclipse. And so that the eclipse cycle, generally the whole energy of it is about 6 weeks, 2 months. We got 3 eclipses, more like 2 months. We also have a Mercury retrograde starting, and Pluto is turning retrograde on the 30th. Oh my gosh. So this is the same day, right, that we've got this solar eclipse, a partial solar eclipse, and then it's the same day that Pluto turns retrograde. And it's also the same day that Venus and Jupiter are exactly conjunct. So Pluto turning retrograde at that time is saying, all right, we made it as far as we can do with these structural changes. Now we have to go back and figure out if they're in alignment, what's in alignment with our heart, and rearrange. Still working out the energies of that Venus retrograde, and very powerful. So Venus, Jupiter, it's like, oh, my hopes and dreams, and I can feel it. And then Pluto's just like, like we haven't gotten to the place where we can rearrange to fully support who we are as spiritual beings, but we're making huge headway. And this eclipse is saying, it's about your self-worth. Do you deserve it? Right? Like, so you have a glimpse of this beautiful garden we're here to create, but then you won't allow yourself to have any support, right? Or whatever. And so massive rearranging happening with cleaning up the deep subconscious and activating our ability to receive and to allow our spiritual manifestations to come into form. It's a mystery of this co-creation and manifestation. We're working on completely different levels. It's like we're slipping into a place where there is no time, there is no timeline. This energy of just being connected and just flowing through along with in your presence, not being manipulated, but flowing along with. And it's hard. We're all struggling right now, supernova souls especially, to let go of our ego constructs. And this is like everything we've been attached to for lifetimes and it has to do with roles that we've played, personalities. And so that's why it's so connected to who you are and what your role is and what's your identity and what's your job and are you mom, are you dad, or like all these things are roles that we play. And when you have these big spiritual experience, say a near-death experience or something, a profound ceremony, and you it's like, whoa, it makes you reevaluate again, revalue our life. And so as we do that, this is the rearranging that we're in. So I lost my train of thought. Sorry. It will come back. So we are being asked to dream into this new dream, and we have a glimpse of this. And then our place in this dream. But that brings up our deepest insecurities and low self-worth and programming and fear programming. Can I do it? Am I up for it? Do I deserve it? All that. So this eclipse season for supernova souls is about uncovering those deepest subconscious places so that we can come into our wealth and worth, so we can receive, so we can contain our energy and come into our throne of our autonomy and sovereignty, which is what's required. And supernova souls are poised so perfectly to lead the way and demonstrate this to humanity. So it's kind of like, okay, there it is. I can feel it. I can love it. I can own it. I can commit to it. This completely different way of life. But in that, it's going to shine the light on everywhere you feel that you don't deserve or can't handle the bounty, the blessings and of your own abundance. So that's what's getting rearranged with this new moon and this eclipse season. Okay, so eclipse season is about 6 weeks, 2 months, the energy, 3, since there's 3 this time. And through that time, we also have that big shift with Pluto turning retrograde, because we've had all planets direct, so now it's like, wait a minute, we got to reassess. Pluto is reassessing about the structures of control, authority, the structures of our world in relation to our power. So we also have Mercury retrograde energy already coming back. I know Mercury goes into retrograde shadow in the next couple of days at 26 degrees Taurus, and then retrogrades. It goes into Gemini and turns retrograde at 4 degrees Gemini, and then retrogrades back into Taurus and will turn direct at the beginning of June at 26 degrees Taurus, and then go back into Gemini and come out of shadow on the 18th of June. So we've got almost 2 months of energy here. That is a big shift around feeling worthy to pursue our dreams and rearranging our connection with our higher self and guidance so that we can go in the right direction in this timeline alignment. And it all has to do with knowing that we can receive and handle that spiritual wealth and abundance. And with all this Neptune energy and first Venus coming into conjunction with Jupiter, with Neptune and then Jupiter, Mars comes into this conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter in May. The middle of May will be Mars conjunct Neptune, and then the end of May, Mars and Jupiter will move over very close together as they move over into Aries. Jupiter moves over into Aries May 11th, and Mars moves over into Aries on the 25th. So we have Venus moving over into Aries, then at the beginning of May, Jupiter moving over more near the mid at the 10th, and then later in the month, Mars. So that's going to be an incremental shift out of the confusion of the Pisces energy and into the rebirth of the Aries energy. And it's like ping, ping, ping. So very powerful. I can see these are like, timeline alignments, adjustments, rebirths, nudges, pushing you out of the nest. So May is about, April is like, whoa, and eclipse season 2 happening this whole time. And eclipse season is always confusing. It's about things being hidden and revealed and aligning. And so these things together, Mercury retrograde, eclipse season, and these Jupiter, Neptune transits, and then all these planets moving over into Aries. And so it's like incremental energetic shifts towards rebirth and renewal. And so important, this Jupiter crossing over the Aries point. It is the rebirth of Christ consciousness and living body of Christ, So that, like I said, happens on May 10th. So take advantage of this bloom of Pisces energy, because it's giving us this time to completely dissolve and let go and be ready for that rebirth in the right direction, right? Not our ego, personality, grasping, desperation. I got to figure it out. No. You want the real deal. You want the right path. You want it to be absolutely in alignment. And as I say that, I can feel SuperNova Souls going, that's not possible. No, that's not how it's been. No, it's always hard for me. There you go. This is what's coming up from our deepest psyche that's got to get resolved. You know, you can dream that dream of the world you want and the life you want, all you want. But if you can't resonate there, if you don't feel deep inside on all parts of your being that you deserve it, then you can't resonate there and it can't happen. And this is really what's plugging us up. I mean, this Uranus and Taurus is saying, hey, the only thing holding back the spiritual evolution is whether or not humanity thinks they deserve it. And we're here leading the way, so we better get our ass in gear around this. And so this is where this spiritual revival is different from other spiritual revivals, because we've got that beautiful, mysterious energy of Pisces and Taurus speaking to each other, of the embodiment, right? And so the spiritual wealth and the revival is this wealth outside of us, this outside connection and love and expanded love and opportunities with other people. But the wealth that's inside of us too. So it's an inner revolution first. And that's definitely the energy of this astrology. Really beautiful, these earth and water signs dancing together, stirring up the pot, bringing us the energy we need to live and breathe in that vibration of creating heaven on earth, of creating and living in this new earth energy and spiritual revival. So beautiful, dynamic, intense, unique, rare astrology right now. Don't miss it. And I hope you'll consider joining. We're going to do a soul group session, a SuperNova Soul Group Session. This is a group intuitive session for that solar eclipse. This is going to be Saturday, April 30th at noon Mountain Time in the US. So look out for that. This is where we go deeper than the activations. They're typically more like an hour and a half. And we will be looking at shared past life pictures, taking opportunity to do clearings, contractual clearings, timeline alignment, soul retrieval, soul group work, ancestral energies, whatever comes up, you bring that to me, and I'm honored to be facilitator to lead us through these processes. So important and powerful. Supernova souls coming together on the astral plane, opening up those pathways for our real world connections as we move into this new energy of spiritual revival and lead the way down that garden path. So thank you so much for being here, Supernova Soul, and just make the most of this powerful energy of transformation, and let's stay connected. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.